Wow, it's brighter than I expected. Okay, so every Valentine's Day, my family has this tradition where my dad goes out to the store and he buys my sisters and I roses. And there's this one year, I think I must have been like 5, and my younger sister Katie was probably about 3. And being like the young girls that we were, like what else would you do with a rose and rose or sword fight? So we were fighting with these roses, and her rose ultimately ended up snapping in half. And she's bawling her eyes out, sad that mine was okay and hers was not. And being the amazing sister that I am, I decided to break mine also so that we would both have broken roses. And I think that's really symbolic of God sending his son. Because it would have been so much easier for God to just fix all of the problems of humanity, to fix all of our sin from heaven, and just in his godly form. But instead, he decided to send his son, Jesus, into a broken world. And that causes us to have more of a relationship with Jesus. Because common brokenness unifies us. And having that common ability to be broken was able to really have us form this relationship with God. My scripture comes from John 19, verse 30. And it says, when Jesus had tasted it, he said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and released his spirit. Saying "it is finished" was really a way to express that God's plan for Jesus was all finished. He had a plan for everything. And Jesus' plan always existed. It wasn't a last minute thing like, oh, the humans messed everything up, gotta save them somehow. No, there's prophecies all throughout the Old Testament just stating that someday Jesus would come and he would save humanity. In Psalm 22, verse 18, it says, "They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." Sure enough, that happened with Jesus. In Psalm 41, verse 9, it says, "Even my close friend whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted up his heel against me." Again, this happened with Judas betraying Jesus. And in Psalm 22, verse 31, the original Hebrew can be translated to "it is finished." Every single thing was planned down. Every syllable was planned and a part of the plan. Every part of this Easter plan was super vital and important. And I have to believe that even the fact that Jesus came down as a human was just as important. And all of us who are also humans, does that not mean for us that our plans and our purposes can be just as important as Jesus's? I feel like as Christians, we tend to grow accustomed to just accepting the word. We don't really challenge what it has to say, and the only way that we can grow is through challenging something and wrestling through it. So I suggest to you that when it says "it is finished" in the scriptures, sure, that specific story of Jesus is finished, but the Easter story continues on today. It continues on with all of us. We're called to carry out the plans of God and to follow his plans and to impact others. And sure, our plans probably aren't as grand as Jesus. We're probably not going to have to die for the sake of humanity and forgiveness. But our plans can still be just as important for just one life. We can impact people in ways we could never imagine. Maybe our plan is just to plant the seed in someone, so to say, just to be the first person that shares the love of God with them, or just to impact them in some small way. And yes, let me remind you or say, we're not being called to save people. That's not our job. Only Jesus can save. So don't put the pressure on yourself oh, it's my plan to save others. It's just our plan to be able to help people, point them to God. I think what's really important is that we should be living our lives in a way that when our time on earth is done, Jesus can smile down from heaven, look down at us, and be able to say, "It is finished," with as much confidence as Jesus said it when his plans were fulfilled on the cross. "It is finished" are 3 of the most important words, arguably, in all of humanity. So why can't we live our lives with as much power as those words hold? Now let us worship a God who has plans for us that are way greater than we could ever imagine.